Okay, today we're going to carry on with part 2 of our lock testing. Part 1, if you go back to our YouTube series, you'll see that where we had the bikes chained to the pole and we tested the cable locks. In this one here, we're going to go up a whole security grade. Now we're going to move on to testing some chain locks. Now, these are available on Amazon. This is rated as security 5 chain. We're going to test a 6mm chain, which is in here. And we test the 8mm chain in here. And then we've got another 8mm chain with some closed, with the links with a lot more close together. So today we're going to try and test them. First, we're going to put them on a bolt. We're going to see if we can cut them with the old trusty bolt cutter. And we're going to see how we go. So we'll start with the 6mm. And I reckon we'll get through this one fairly comfortably. We'll see. 6mm loaded. Let's see. As you can see, it's taken a fair bit to get through. So if that was mounted against the bike and I didn't have the leverage against the pole or something like that, it'd be pretty tough to get through. Okay, so that's a grade 6mm lock. After seeing the 6mm lock, I don't think I'm going to have much luck trying to get through this 8mm lock with these bolt cutters. But let's try. Now I'll try and get them in. Well, that took a fair bit of effort to get through, but as you notice, I could only cut one side of the link with the bolt cutters. So really, with the integrity of the lock is still in place, it would take a fair bit of force now to break that lock open. So to me, that's a pretty strong lock at 8mm chain. This is actually a key version, and some of the features of this 6725 lock is that, look at this pinion here. This is often noted as the weakest point of a lot of locks. This one is a solid 8mm and it's short and compact. And I think it would be pretty tough to try and smash that. As you can see with the 6mm lock, this pin arrangement here is probably its weakest point than the chain. But for all day, everyday use, this is a pretty satisfactory lock. So we've done those two. And if you really want to see me strain me freckle out again, I think we're going to have a hard time cracking through this baby. I don't even know if I can get the bolt cutters around it because of the closeness of the links, which would allow for an upgrade in the security of this lock. There's no way that I'm going to be able to cut this lock with these bolt cutters. So that's an 8mm closed lock, key operated, and it clearly passes the bolt cutter test for today. We got a 12mm cable lock here, and let's just see how we go with a pair of bolt cutters with this. Once again, I can hardly get it loaded across. So now we're cutting down. Look at that. Much easier to cut than the 8mm chains that we had here. So that was a bolt cutter. This would seem like it's a pretty strong lock. It's much better than the 6mm, but it was easier, it took less time to cut through than our little 6mm version over here. So I would say from a cable lock point of view against the chain's a winner. So as you can see then, we've just done a bit of a bolt cutter test. What we're seeing around town with some people is they turn up with a power tool. Now, if you turn up with a power tool, it's going to be pretty hard to provide a secure thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to test the D-lock. We're actually going to see how long it takes us to cut through this with a grinder. And we're going to cut through the 8mm chain that failed with the bolt cutters. And then we're going to show you how quickly we can cut through this lock with the grinder. I'm just going to get set up over here and we'll do the test. Okay, now we've set up some simulation of some locks. As you can see, this is the 8mm lock. Now it's chained to the thing, to a pole. So access with the power tool, in this case without damaging the bike, can be a bit hard. So we recommend that if you can tie your lock up and keep it fairly tight, you're going to also look like you're a harder bike to steal in the rack than one of the easier ones that may be locked with this or even with one of these toys. Right? That's a toy lock for a toy bike. So when you're coming along a beach looking lock, he's looking for the easiest access that they can get. So if you can wrap your lock a few times around and keep it fairly tight like we've done here, now I'm going to try and cut it with an angle grinder. And we're going to see how we go. And the last thing I want to do is damage the bike. So we're going to give it a hit. As we can see, I've cut through. I haven't completely cut it all through at this point in time, but you can see that if this is in a public place or it's nighttime or sink, to turn up with that, it actually takes a few minutes for them to get through the lock and draws a lot of attention to themselves. So to me, that's the 8mm lock with a close link. That's a pretty good pass for me for security. And as I like to say, the more expensive your bike, the more you want to lock it up. So don't be skimpy and budget on a lock when you've got a $1,000 bike and you buy a $10 lock. As we hold this up, you can see there, that was about a minute and a half of cutting. I'm nearly through to the second stage, and after another 30-40 seconds, that bike would be mine. Now we're going to move on to these D-locks, and we're going to see how long it takes me now to cut through it. All right, let's go. Wow, that actually went through a lot quicker than I actually thought. When I compare that to the 8mm chain lock that was more unstable, it was actually easier to cut this off than it was the chain lock. So while the deep lock looks a way more superior lock, in some cases it can be, but I feel that there's a lot more flexibility in the 8mm chain versions of the lock, and makes it a lot harder to steal and a lot harder to get through with bolt cutters and a grinder. What we're going to introduce was our pretty much an all-round lock, well priced at $40. It's a 6mm chain lock with a combination and comes in 1 meter length. It's been rated at a security rating of 5. It has all the directions on the side on how to use it, and pretty easy to change your pin code. As you can see here, we've got a 5-segment lock, all open to here. Open it up. This is what it looks like. This is how easy it is to change. So when it's open, just turn the barrel upwards like that. Come in, put in your code. Now it's set at that, so if that changes to 1 digit, it's now gone. To unlock it, we'll go back to the 8, unlock. So once again, in the open position, you turn this side barrel upwards, put in your combination, turn it back, and if this fits in, you've selected your code correctly. So this is the 1 meter lock by 6725 cycles, and it's well priced at $40. What we're going to look at now is a combination of 2 locks on a bike. Very cost effective. Look, this is a $45 lock, and I did show you the 8mm version, which we couldn't penetrate easily with bolt cutters, and that's the 𝐂𝐥𝐤 version. It's definitely one of our stronger locks, and now we're going to look at it as a handlebar lock as well. So I'm just going to go over now, and we're going to try it out on one of our bikes. We're actually going to showcase a combination of a chain lock, this lock, and we've also got another lock here that we're going to showcase in a minute that locks the hub, and it's alarm lock. So this one is pretty simple, very cost-effective lock. Sits on, locks the brake on. I'm dragging the back wheel, okay? A long way to drag that without getting that off. To get this off, we'd either have to power tool it off. It'd be pretty hard to get an impact on that without damaging the bike with a hammer. So to me, that's a pretty cost-effective little way. I think you're about $30 for that solution. Combine that with a chain through the wheels, and it's going to take a considerable effort to drag this bike away and steal it. Once again, so that's probably a $70 version of security. So the next one I'm just going to show you now is going to be the portable lock. Okay, so what we're going to look at now, this once again is another pretty cost-effective little version. This is a disc brake with an audible allowance. Okay, this would lock in to the disc here, and that would stop the bike rolling. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to lock it. So now it's locked, and we arm it by pushing that, and we hear it down better. And it's weird. Now it's going off. Now we have to come in and turn it off. Okay, it's now armed. Now if I try and move it, there we go. To disengage the alarm, hopefully I get the right key, or into a very annoying spin. And to unlock it, once again, we turn up with a key, and away we go. All right, that's a little audible alarm. They're probably $20-30. And if that's the type of thing you're in for, come and see us. Okay, now we're going to use the portable lock because who isn't sick of seeing scooters get each all around town? With a little bit of added security, this noisy little bugger here will draw a lot of attention if a scooter or a bike tries to get stolen. So we just literally put the key in, you lock it, it's now locked. You just come around the back and we arm it, and now it's armed. Now, if I try and move it, Now, it's pretty bloody annoying. So now that it's come in, disarm it, and pretty handy little lock to have. And as you can see, down the other way, it's good if you get taken like this, if they pick it up and carry it. But if it's also cabled or chain locked to a pole, once again, you're going to take a good combination of locks to keep your assets secure with the rising crime that we're all seeing out on the streets and around town.